You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting. Enjoy. Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer, where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Brian McCubbin.
Hey, good to see everybody this week.
Hey, David Hall.
Winter is going away.
I turned on the air conditioning today. Greg Hectus.
It was, excuse me, but it was minus 20 today. Celsius. Don't tell me that. What's up, everybody?
Yeah, I turned the air to 75. It was 77. It cooled it down a little, made it just right.
I hate you all.
On today's show, we'll recap a Wild Coke Series race at Las Vegas with the voice of eNASCAR, Evan Pasoko. We'll take a tour of the Coanda SimSport facility, start contemplating what might be coming in the Season 2 build, and follow the next steps in purchasing my Formula Wheel.
And remember, you can follow along with us on your PC or mobile device in real time as you listen to the show and see for yourself all these great topics and products we'll discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com and selecting show notes. So let's see you there.
Did you know changing to a new set of pedals can have an instant impact on your driving? Changing to pedals that allow you to build your muscle memory and be consistent lap after lap give you an advantage over the rest on track. With SimCoach's P1 Pro pedals, you can completely adjust them to match your driving style. Their new software, Visor, allows you to adjust the pedals electronically for even more adjustability. Take control of your driving with these hyper-realistic pedals. For a limited time, SimCoach is giving you guys 10% off a new set of pedals. Head over to simcoaches.com and use discount code iRacersLounge at checkout to save.
We are going to kick off the topics with a little chat about the Coanda SimSport Tour. Traxian has posted an article taking you inside the former warehouse that's been turned into an esports for Coanda, or an esports hub for Coanda SimSport. The team revealed the new location last month, just before running the 24 Hours of Le Mans virtual.
Yeah, we saw some pictures at the time of this on social media. And of course, the guys over at Traxian.gg, they got an article here with some pretty nice photos that really kind of show a wide angle, I would say, of the room. It's quite a large facility. I mean, you could host a lot of people there.
I like this. The first picture on the article with the gigantic portrait style monitor with the track map and several other stats up there. Like it looks like you're at Oaklawn, which is our local racetrack, right? Where you have all that information up there.
And then the visual touches they got, like they have a LED strip, or it almost looks like a Star Wars lightsaber. They have up and down behind each rig just to kind of accent it. And then they got a really nice blue, light on the back wall to make it blue, and gives it some color. It's pretty cool.
There must be a Mace Windu fan.
So this is different than the facility they had before then, right? Because it was like a house that they had before, right?
I think the house is a part of this. So
okay.
This is an addition.
Yeah, most of those E strips are purple, aren't they, Brian?
Oh, the ones I see are red.
Yeah, there's red ones here.
Picture's red, but if you go to the second one, you'll see some blue. On the front side of the rig, they have a blue one on the ground.
See, that looks purple to me.
Yeah, it's purple, Mike. I think it's purple. Or it's more like the, what do you call that, infrared, or it's the light that sees blood and stuff. I can't think of the light name.
Title idea, colorblind.
Just a black light, really, right?
That's what it is, black light. Thank you.
The cockpits are all fairly similar. Triples, 80-20, I can't really tell which 80/20 it is. Sparco seat, formula wheel, can't tell which, and quadruple monitor setup with a button box and stuff. But it looks really clean setup because they all match. I really like that.
That's not. It's not even just a button box. That's the streaming deck button box that they got there. And then they have the. I don't know what brand it is. It might be the Elgato's brand, but they have the sound mixer there too, on the other side.
Oh, I see. The next picture down does show a close up of the wheel, and that is the Asher V2, which is one of the wheels I was considering.
This can't be a cheap place to put together. Like, this is pretty elaborate.
The last photo is like a sitting area, perhaps
Interview room.
interview room for for media, multimedia. Pretty darn.
Wacky lighting for an interview room.
Well, it's kind of just maybe like a mood lighting for for anything. They could run social media stuff back there. They could do anything they want in that room.
So in Gronau, Germany, it's 1,800 square meters of floor space. So just figure out what that would be in feet for us over here.
Ooh, that's a lot, actually.
That's a lot. That's a good area, big area.
Almost 20,000.
Is that right? That's like the size of a warehouse.
It's a former.
Like,
I'm talking like a big warehouse, though.
The thing is, I'm interested in is what's the business model? I mean, how is this? Where's the money coming from? That's the thing. These guys don't have regular jobs. They're sim racers.
Right, but who pays them? Is it sponsorship money? I can't imagine that it all comes from winnings. It's too unpredictable, and
Right.
You just can't count on that kind of thing.
Sounds like we need to get a PR rep from Coanda in.
Well, remember this whole team, they left, well, the big guys left the Porsche series to go run that other video game that they call the 24-hour Le Mans Virtual. And it probably took a lot to get them to come over there. I bet you maybe that game company might have stepped up and paid them probably quite well. Just a guess.
I mean, everyone's going to go where the money is right now, right? Just trying to capitalize on whatever they can get out of this.
Here in the U.S., we got that Charlotte Esports thing, which is similar. It's not a teams, per se, but it's the same kind of concept, where eSimmer, come together physically, and then there's audience and whatnot.
Well, you mentioned guessing, and somebody who has us playing the guessing game now on some new content is Tony Kanaan. Let's hear about that, Brian.
Yeah, he posted a couple things on Twitter. So one of the things was he posted the start of his Porsche race, and he said, that he's keeping up the Tony Kanaan tradition with great starts. And yeah, he did have a really good start of this race. He probably made up 5 to 10 positions right by the first turn, it seemed like. So that was pretty cool. And then he came out with another one. Oh yeah, he went everywhere. It was crazy.
The other thing, Brian, is he's using the Gomez wheel, but the one with the display. And the Gomez wheel is another one I was considering as well.
Well, there's a non-edition of Gomez wheel, right? I'm sure that's the
one. Right. It's got the green and bright green Brazilian colors, like the Brazilian flag. The other thing about Tony driving is he's got these really heavy, thick gloves on. I'm just like, man, I don't know if I need those thick gloves.
Yeah,
he's probably used to it, though. His whole life has been in fire runs, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I think you're right.
The one thing I noticed too that I don't know what it is that gear counter is pretty nice that he has right beside the wheel, or it counts a shift. I don't know what it is.
It looks like an iFlag that also does gear counting. Yeah.
And you can do gears on those. depending on what program you run.
Okay, I didn't know that. I saw it later on in it. Now I understand that it's actually doing the colors for the flags too, which is cool.
So we had that, and then Tony Kanaan put out another tweet a little later saying that he's making a big announcement that on March 8th and Standard Time, while iRacing is down, um, he's going to be streaming some really cool content that Steve Myers and his team gave to him. So he's seeing if you guys might have a guess, and is inviting everyone to join him and Greg West, and you won't regret it. So that's sounds like a big news type of deal.
So it's got to be road something, right?
I would think
Rain.
so.
You think it's rain too? That's what I was gonna go for. Is it's gonna be either it's just showing what the rain can do, or is it, we're obviously, I don't know, are we even close to getting it?
I mean, they tweeted, I guess, tweeted a picture of the rain not too long ago. Remember?
Yeah, but they can. The thing is the trying to get it configured to a lot of stuff on the sim. Like I would believe that that's a big major undertaking that I don't know. I would hope that they would, because I guess what, next week's week 13, right? Then they would be teasing it this week, right?
And there hasn't been a lot of teases, as you call it, this week.
I wonder if it's something that would also possibly be released only for certain cars to a point.
Or series slash type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So so Tony Kanaan has really become quite an ambassador for iRacing. In his I don't know if you call it retirement, semi-retirement. But yeah, he's big into the sim stuff now. It's awesome to have another, high-profile professional, Hall of Fame caliber driver who's an iRacing ambassador. He's like the road version of Dale Jr. at this point.
Well,
Yes, at this Brazilian stock car.
well,
Remember
yeah, that's definitely a thing, but I don't know. He has no background ever from that because he's been an open wheel driver his whole life, right? But I mean, he could do any of that, right?
Currently doing it though, I think.
Is he? Okay. I could be. Yeah, I don't follow him too closely, but that would be pretty sick if he does those too, because I'm really interested to see what that, because there goes another whole road series they got to create on iRacing too if they bring those in, when they bring those in.
I bet you it's that, just because he currently does that, and he's an ambassador, like Brian was saying. What better tie-in, to introduce it, and so pretty cool. I might try to turn it on that morning and see if I can catch part of it.
It's kind of interesting too, like Brian was saying, these guys are intertwined. Kind of, it's kind of like a hobby that, an investment that they do after their careers too for some of these guys.
Well, it's a place for them to go now. Think about where they went in the 90s and 2000s. It was the truck series, right?
Well, or that, or they just completely disappear, right?
Wasted away.
Now they can keep running. It's too bad like Carl doesn't run out here or something like that. Isn't the running theory that he basically quit because of the new package?
You would, yeah, it would be interesting to see what his, I would love to see him get on like the Dale Jr. download now or something at some point here and see if he's like even considered anything with this way that this new car has been shown on TV. But anyways, that's another topic for another day.
If somebody gets hurt this year, I mean, he would be a logical choice to step in, a Prairie driver, or Matt Kenseth, or
I would take Stewart. I would honestly call Tony Stewart up as soon as you could for that replacement.
Yeah. So getting back to a point that David made, when these guys hang up their racing shoes, it seems like it's probably more of a grind issue, the grind of traveling and all that stuff, more than a loss of competitive spirit. And that's kind of where something like iRacing can fill that gap without all the daily grind, the testing, the advertising stuff that they're all required to do.
As long as you don't try to go Coke series.
How about we go to something that's also difficult to drive? So, iRacing.com Twitter page posted a tweet. Seeing all the drivers struggle in this car makes me feel much better about how I've been driving in the sim. And I think we all sat down on the couch on Sunday and watched that race and realized, it kind of played out the way that a lot of our races played out at California this week or last week, and there's some subtle differences, but man, is this car. I don't know. I've been reinvigorated with this car just driving it. I know, David, you've probably put in way more time than anybody on this team in that car, but that race was enjoyable on TV, and I just feel like it's kind of brought a little bit of new life to the sport too. And I'm glad that iRacing got to work with them on building this.
I think they've really hit it really well. Yeah, I've put in a lot of laps. What I'm really loving, just both at California and Vegas, is it's really, if you've got enough more speed than somebody, you're going to get around them. They can't sit there and actually hold you up for 10 to 20 laps. About the only exception to that is it's a little bit hard to pass sometimes at California on the inside, but it could still be done. And generally, there was no question if somebody was faster than you that you probably should save your stuff and just let them go. And it's nice. It's just nice to have that back instead of you catch up to somebody from half a lap down and then you just have to sit behind them.
Okay, so I think we were all pleasantly surprised, I guess, that it matched up well with what we were racing. We were spinning out. We were seeing our NASCAR stars spinning out by themselves coming off the corner. So you'd think it's matched up pretty good. Now there is a forum post among the same thoughts. And then how does it match up? Now, Sean Powell in the thread, he said, hey, just look at the in real life throttle time in the turns and compare it to ours in the sim. It's actually not even close. But what do you guys think? I think it matched up pretty well, but I didn't compare stuff like that.
Well, what was comparable was the fact that they were hard to drive.
Right.
I was going to say, I think some of that on throttle and off throttle time also is the fear factor, right? We don't have any fear that wall is going to hurt us if we get into it when we're exiting the corner. They have a lot more hesitation when it comes to making sure that they correctly get around the corner. I would think that would play a little bit in a difference. I would love to see the throttle traces to actually see the differences, but I also think that we don't have the amount of the ability to drag a car back as much as they do in real life, and we also don't have. It feels like the third car in line isn't getting as big a runs as what they are on TV too. Sometimes so I think there's some odd things, but it is pretty close. If you want to, you can nitpick all you want, but it is pretty close.
And in addition to the fear factor is the car shortage as well.
So after the Coke race on Twitter, I mean, and even last week, in Twitter, I've saw commentary from people saying maybe the draft is too much. Like it needs to be knocked down a notch.
Yeah, they got some really big runs though. Just like Greg said, they could get some huge runs in the real life race.
You have to realize we're also in a sim that if you gassed it up as hard as they possibly do on TV, isn't as realistic in the sim as it is on TV. Like in real life, there's just no comparison with it. These in the sim with the data you put when you hit that throttle, if you nail it all in the right spots at the right spot on the track, you have grip. That just doesn't exist in real life that way. You light up the tires, you light up the tires.
Now, I imagine we're going to be doing this all year long, comparing the two. Joshua Justice, his comment in the forum thread said, the top guys in Open Series ran faster times than the real car, which means something's still not quite right, but it's very close. It's clear the handling characteristics are generally accurate. The difference may even largely be that the real track is in worse shape than the scan that we're using from many years ago. So I didn't factor that in as the track is different. You know, they're the real guys are on an older track.
Yeah, another show mentioned that the back straight is severely bumpy now and needs a repave, even if they leave the corners alone.
Well, Mike, you noticed in the race that they have the front end up, and we don't have it completely that way in the sim. But the reason they had the front up is to get over those bumps and stuff that they were going down, and plus getting that back diffuser on the up a bit to create some better downforce in the back. So maybe we either haven't got our setups that way yet, or there's just, you know, that track probably undergoes so many changes because of the weather it's consistently got all year, right?
So another interesting thing in this thread is Lucas Navarrete asked, can we have any word from the staff about whether or not fixing or toning down the draft is in the works? And Matt Holden from staff, he said, nope, you can't. Behind the scenes developments, whether they're active or not, will not be discussed openly on the forum. Ouch.
That's interesting. Sometimes they actually do tell us if they're looking at something or working to fix it. I do have one request though, that they make sure they don't match the real life on, and that's don't bring in the flat tire model.
Right.
You'd mentioned that the California as it is now might need a repave, but you know, are they still thinking about turning that to a short track? Or, you know, obviously they wouldn't repave something if a short track's coming up soon.
Well, I don't know, David, did you listen to the Dale Jr. download?
To bring it up,
It was kind of odd hearing how they explained on the Dale Jr. download with, and maybe you can help me with this too, David, with what you heard. But it sounds like to me when they were working with iRacing to make that new track, they can't fit it in the area that they would like it to. It would not be more. I guess he was saying it was narrow and too much banking to fit it, because they want to keep the sweets on the. Was it the inside of the track, David? I think it was the sweets on the inside pit road side, and it was just causing too much problem.
yeah, that's exactly what they said. So that option is it's going to be tricky because there's a lot of land there that has so much value. They probably want to sell some of it off, but at this point, the idea that they had, it just didn't solidify. Add to that, it got held up by COVID as well.
Well, regardless of that, it seemed like it was a great race, and I think the NASCAR fans would go nuts if we bulldozed it after what we just saw.
First thing we need to get rid of, to be honest.
I honestly don't think that matters, Mike. When real estate's involved, it'll trump that race no matter what in that land. I just don't. I don't think if they want a short track in California, it's gonna end up coming out of a different area from what it sounded like from both shows that I listened to this week, from the Dale Jr. download and Door Bumper Clear. They were sounding very hesitant with that track.
One of the things that adds pressure when the real estate gets high is that the higher property value, the more you pay in taxes, and it just keeps going up and up and up. And if it's not bringing enough money just to cover the taxes, they have to sell.
It was probably better when they had 2 races a year there too, instead of just the one.
Well, we know based on the LA Coliseum how bad NASCAR wants to be in that Southern California market. They're not going to just pass up on that track willy-nilly. They want to be in that market unless they have a suitable replacement. I think that track's going to stay there in whichever configuration it's going to be.
I don't know California well enough to know do they have any. I'm pretty sure, obviously, because Harvick grew up there, Larson and them grew up there. There's got to be some short tracks that they might go to otherwise if they are not able to build the track they want on the land that they want. If not, it's probably all going to get sold off, and they don't race at that portion of California.
Well,
All right.
it doesn't look like they're going to build it anytime soon. But what is iRacing about to add into build 2?
Well, it is coming up on week 13. And I found a great post in the forums by Kyle A. Noel. He put together a definitive list of what we know, what's implied, what might be coming, and what's been announced for the future. Now, he also has backup links to each one of these, to back it up. Now, I didn't put the links on our notes, but there were links in the forum post. So let's go through it. He says, confirmed, 1987 NASCAR Legends Buick. We have the 2 new racing series that we already talked about on previous episode, the iRacing Grand Prix Tour, that's F1, and then the Mo-R Endurance Series. Then we have multiple tire compounds for Grand Prix, Open and Tour, and IndyCar Open and iRacing Series.
Well, that's not just the tire compounds. That's the rule. They're going to be able to enforce that you need to switch compounds.
Yeah, they already had the compounds. It just was never a rule that you had to run both of them on road races because they only use 2 compounds on road. So they would now just make it a rule that you have to use both compounds.
Yeah, I think it might be deceiving, but the MOAR, we've been pronouncing it MOAR, but I think they're supposed to more rhyming with roar, because it's based on the roar before the 24. And I think this is just a variation because that's how the roar is set up as far as a single driver endurance race. I could be wrong, but that's kind of what I thought because it was linked to the roar for when they made this series up.
Okay, so the next section is implied. Now, he put Federated Auto Parts Raceway at I-55. Now, this we need to move to confirmed because yesterday, Greg West tweeted out a picture of the splash screen, the loading screen for I-55. So it's definitely confirmed. He also tweeted a splash screen for Wintown, I think it is, or Winton Raceway. So that also is confirmed. So implied is another GT vehicle for road. Would it be the Mercedes AMG Evo or the Audi R8 Evo? Don't know.
They're both very old GT3s. They're 2 of the oldest GT3 scans.
I would guess you're probably... would you not say the Audi is the oldest, but I would say the Mercedes is probably, with their alignment with Mercedes, would be more likely, would it not?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Greg. I don't know if it transfers over with their Mercedes cooperation with the F1, but maybe that would make it more likely.
Audi had one of the first TCR cars, though.
Okay, so in the maybe section, he put Atlanta rebuild. Now, as we discussed with Evan earlier in the show, I'm pretty sure this is confirmed. I mean, you think about it. The Coke Series runs 2 weeks from now at Atlanta. Why? It's not because NASCAR is going there. It's because we're releasing this track on week 13, and that'll be the showcase, So I think that's will be a confirm. Now, the Road to Pro is using the old Atlanta scan in mid-March. At least that's what the schedule still says. So maybe that's not the case.
Well, if they have it, I'm sure they're going to use it. The new one, I wouldn't see why not. I would see if Road to Pro was the week of it being released, but if you got a couple weeks to work on setups and stuff, still, it's not a problem.
So they release the track like Tuesday. That gives Coke guys a week and a half to prepare. So I think it's coming based on that. The timing and the alignment of the Coke Series schedule with it is too coincidental.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that, Mike. I think that sounds right to me.
Okay, the other maybes on his list are from the August 2021 announcements, including Indianapolis Speedway, Oval Road and Dirt, which was announced by IMS president back in August. We still haven't seen that. Of course, Sandown is now confirmed. Winton Raceway is confirmed. I'm not sure about Sandown, but scans were shown in August of 2021 of Sandown Motor Speedway. Then the October 2021 announcement was the Brazilian stock cars, which we talked about. Maybe that's what Tony Kanaan and Greg West are going to show Tuesday morning, maybe, or in the GT car, or rain.
Before we go any further, Mike, the Indianapolis one will be interesting because they are going to be running that later on in the year, the road course update. Now, we've known that they can bring out an update the week before and bring the track out then. It doesn't really matter, but I don't know if another build happens before we get to that track, because that's another, 13, 14 weeks from now, right? So I don't know. I can't remember when they race there, because it would probably be August, wouldn't it? That's usually when Indy's around for that one.
All right, and then the next one was section he calls spilling of beans. There was a Formula 4 leak from the last build from a screenshot on a video that indicated there's a Formula 4 car. The second street stock for pavement and dirt, the mini stock 4-cylinder oval car for pavement and dirt, and we've had teasers for rain and 3D grass.
Do you think the 3D grass will be like the way they did the tree thing?
I don't know. I just feel like rain it's time for rain. I just feel like it's here. I mean, if we didn't have rain, would it be a big build?
Monte Carlo, maybe?
Remember, that's still a teaser. That didn't make the list, but somebody teased. Remember, Steve Meyer said there's a big F1 track coming, or what did he call it?
We're not going to say Monaco though, because it was just a big F1 track.
Not the word big, but
he didn't just say big. It was like almost like marquee type of
marquee
thing.
Track, right?
And if they released this build and they've kept it hidden that long without any spoilers or anything, kudos to them for being quiet. Those NDAs must be rock solid staff.
Okay, now the next part of this list he put is called confirmed for future builds. Lucas Oil Speedway, Point Royal Speedway, Kern County Raceway Park, Pro 4 Championship Series, SCCA runoffs, late model stock update or pro late model, 2022 NASCAR Truck Series new bodies, and of course the Mercedes W13 F1 car.
Does anybody find it odd that it's taking them so long to release the new bodies for those NASCAR trucks when everything else goes faster? Like, we've had the next gen before it even existed.
Good point.
Like, they released what they look like, and then we've never heard anything else since for these things. And normally, I would think that the most participation on average of all series would be the truck series, would it not?
Probably, if not just for the license requirements.
Brian, you might need to check the backup link on this next one for your track that's near your house. Unconfirmed rumor section has Lincoln Speedway in PA. A dirt oval forum commentator listed 4 tracks that the van was seen at, with 3 of them later confirmed.
Yeah, man, that's going to be my jam if that comes out. I hope that comes out so bad. And it made a lot of sense just with a lot of the things that they were saying with their tour through Pennsylvania with the scanning truck. It's a big enough track. It hosts World of Outlaws and the All-Star races. So it's a big enough track that, you would think that would get their consideration as a scan. So I'm crossing my fingers, man. And once that comes out,
All right, I'm going to put a little cut in here. You want to hit the next one, Mike? Because Tony did just step in.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
You got a copy, Tony?
Yeah, I'm here.
Are you wanting to talk about this next one here with Crowder?
Yeah, sure.
All right. I'll throw it to me, and then I'll throw it out, and then you can commentate too.
All right, so I'll end the cut right here, cutting back in. I'll just do a wrap of the last segment and chop that out.
Tony, before you do the cut in, Tony, I reassigned fantasy to you, right? You're gonna be around for that.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to jump on, make sure I got on here a little late. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Thanks for coming.
All right, well, I'm sure it's going to be an exciting build. We look forward to it, and there's always a lot of really fun stuff to do during week 13 as well. The next item we've got doesn't sound so fun, but we had Ashton Crowder's team of drivers basically pulled a mutiny, and they disassociated from the drill spill, which he owns, amid a tweet that the drivers considered to be disrespectful and unprofessional.
Yikes. This played out on the twit. Yeah, it was after the Coke race, Donovan Strauss, 2 weeks in a row, he's gotten wrecked really bad, and just bad luck more than anything. And so Ashton Crowder replied, I think Donovan Strauss tweeted out something like, "Man, I'm dejected," or "I'm depressed," or something like that, you know. No, he said, it's coming back to me. It's hard to keep motivation up when these things happen, or something like that. And so Ashton Crowder replies with a meme and basically says, "So sorry, bro," something like that. It wasn't really offensive or anything. It was like, I don't know. It wasn't a big deal.
Yeah. When I saw this come up, I was like, holy cow, what happened? So I went searching, and yeah, I was kind of expecting to see a lot more than what was actually posted. So for me, I would just think that, there's obviously a lot of stuff going on in the background that we're not privy to, because otherwise you would just assume this is a huge overreaction. But could be wrong. Maybe that was a trigger.
That's what David was saying. There's got to be something else going on that we don't know about, because this isn't enough to like abandon ship.
It's got to be 1,000 cuts kind of thing, or it's just maybe Twitter isn't always the best place to try to make a joke, because maybe he was just trying to be lighthearted. But humor doesn't always translate well online.
That's very well could be this. And the other thing that somebody pointed out, I think Brian, this is not the first time Ashton has been removed from a team, due to online commentary.
I'll take the credit for that one, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, wasn't he dropped from? Basically, he quit. He basically got dropped off of
the Coke series
with something going on.
Doesn't play nice with others.
Are you sure that was Ashton Crowder? Because Logan Clampett was at the beginning of the series 2 years ago. He was suspended for a couple races for making an inappropriate comment.
Ashton did not finish one of the seasons.
Yeah, he was let go halfway through in I think the season before that. But yeah, so I feel bad for Ashton. I don't know what the deal is, but
yeah, I mean, kind of have a little bit of sympathy for these guys. Well, most of them are really just kids, to be honest with you. They're still learning, and unlike guys who are being groomed in like real racing, they don't have coaches and stuff like that, because this kind of thing is like something that you actually get taught as you're becoming a professional race car driver, so you don't run into situations like this. These guys don't have it. They've just been gamers all their lives, and and now they're really good sim racers, and they're getting the kind of scrutiny that comes along with somebody who's actually a real race car driver, and things they say on social media gets noticed. And it's not good for young kids who might not have that filter or that development as far as maturity.
We've had Ashton on the show before, and he's just, a young, at that time, I think, an 18-year-old kid. I mean, he kind of looks like Justin Bieber. He's got that same kind of haircut and look. And he's actually a big fan of Justin Bieber, he'll admit, as well. But I feel bad for Ashton. He's a good kid. He's a really fast driver. I mean, he was on the Sadler Esports team for a while, and that is the one exception I might say, Brian, is somebody like Elliott Sadler, running your team, he would be a heck of a mentor, to steer you right, especially with social media and stuff like that.
You're telling me that someone who locks themselves in their room, that's antisocial, doing a hobby that's pretty much promotes antisocialness, could have a problem interacting with people in a sport that tries to be very market driven? It's gonna happen. We're gonna these guys. You can say they get coaching, but what is the coaching? It's never. These guys don't go and see professional people to do it. The coaching would be either in writing or what we do over Discord or TeamSpeak type of thing. These guys. It's probably really really hard to say and do the right thing all the time, and we know that's impossible as a human being to do. They're gonna screw up, and we even on our team, look at us, we bicker back and forth with team members, teammates all the time, but we know the end goal is we love this hobby, right?
You could say the same thing about race car drivers in general, are antisocial and introvert and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think being a sim racer, not just a racer, that might even be double.
Well, how about these highlights from Daytona, Brian?
Yeah, so iRacing released this video on their YouTube channel, and it was the best of Daytona week. So it's kind of different than normally they would do their top 10, and you might see a splattering of Daytona races if that's Daytona week, or Talladega, same way. But this was strictly all Daytona. Really cool finishes and stuff like that. So it's my guess is that they had so many submissions for the top 10 of the month that they probably just said, well, we might as well just do a deal like that just for Daytona because
Well, I actually think, Brian, that the last clip,
He froze. Brian's frozen.
just on that. And so it takes about a third of the video, but that one from Landon Huffman, oh my gosh. No, it's Elliott Huffman.
This has to be driven by Mike Ellis having a top 10 for restrictor plate racing. This has to be driven by you, Mike Ellis. I can't think of anyone else this caters to more than you with this. Every time that a restrictor plate race week, I hear it over our messenger. I feel I can't lose this week. We're gonna win. Like, I'll just make the joke about the roadside, but then you always are about the Daytona or Talladega.
So this last one, the Huffman, Elliott Huffman, he's 16th with 2 to go. They're double file in front of him. He's in the upper lane. The upper lane checks a bit. He keeps his momentum and goes to the outside. Now, it's a cockpit view. You can't see if he has help or not, but within 2 laps, he goes from 16th to the lead and wins the race on the outside, apparently by himself. It is amazing.
I think what I'm looking at here too, Mike, each time that they come up to the wall, they help him draft down the straightaway, and then they go down so he gets a couple positions of the side draft, and then they come back up. It just keeps helping him. We don't know if he had help, but as soon as they come up the track, they open a hole for him, and he just gets the draft from it.
It just shows you how cool it was at Daytona. A reminder, what a great week it was. And I was excited, even though I didn't get a finish. I mean, the racing was great. I was up front. It was fun. And this video really shows some of those, man, I missed the big one. I snuck through there and all that stuff.
I do have to thank iRacing again for not turning the trading paints off again when they do their video, because that one at least had all the custom paints when you're watching it too, not the generic stuff. Because normally they just put the generic.
Yep. Well, it's time to move on to events. Greg, we got the Sebring coming up. I think me and you and Adam are going to try to throw together a team for this.
Just kidding.
Start over.
So the Sebring, 12 hours of Sebring, is going to be from March 25th to 27th. The 4 normal time slots that we always get for it. It's a 9 a.m. time in sim, so that's it'll be ending in the dark then. And you'll have your normal 30-minute warm-up, 8-minute qualifying, 2 laps, total of 12 hours, dynamic weather. It's obviously the IMSA cars, so you got the Dallara LMP2, and then you got all the GTDs, the Audi R8, the BMW M4, Ferrari 488 Evo, Lamborghini, McLaren, Mercedes, and the Porsche. Be kind of cool if they had rain by then to maybe entice this race, but we'll see about that. But I guess they're also putting on here, I forgot to mention, 50 incidents is the stop and go limit, and then every 20 after that.
So if they have rain, if they add rain, maybe we need to have a fun car, Brian and Tony, just to try it.
I don't even have Sebring. I guess I could get it. If it's a fun team, it really won't matter if I just get it now.
Fun track, but Sunset can be
the backstretch, or whatever you call it, stretch before you come into the last corner.
Oh yeah, well, there's lights at the front stretch basically, yeah, and then the rest of it's all reflectors. There's reflectors, so it's kind of easy to see the lines, but it's such a pretty track. It's actually it's a lot more fun to run at night than Daytona is, just because of how it looks.
I would say, and I don't know if you would say this, David, but I think it's probably the bumpiest track on the sim.
Oh yeah, especially going around Sunset. It's just boink, boink. You should watch some of my streams when I'm racing there. They're there this week in the 2-1 or the 919. I'll probably either run tonight or Saturday some, and it's just bouncing the mess out of you. It's just insanely bumpy. It's built on a former World War II air base, actually.
Okay, let's get into housekeeping notes. Don't forget our Discord channel. If you are in Discord, you would know which wheel I already bought this week. Let's talk Aftermath podcast. What's up next, Tony?
Oh, that is a darn good question. We are trying to coordinate to get something out this week. I've been a hot mess the last probably about 4 weeks. So much stuff going on. There's just no way we could make it work out. But talking to the boys, and we're trying to get something either Friday or Saturday. So, I mean, don't hold your breath because you'll pass out. But that's our plan. We're trying.
All right. Don't forget the website, iRacersLounge.com. Coupon code at SimCoaches is iRacers Lounge for 10% off. That's more than you can get with any other coupon code with them. We're on the Performance Motorsports Network.
All right, Tony, let's hit some fantasy.
Well, I found a couple truths that seem to be holding on from last year. The first one being Larson is, doing his thing, kicking some serious butt. And the other one is I am looking good right until, the last inning, the nth hour, and then all my guys decide to wreck themselves. So it's nice to see some trends are creeping over from last year into this year. But man, oh man, that was a really fun race to watch. I just love that. Um, everybody was having just such a hard time keeping control of this car. It's something we haven't seen in quite some time. So that was very, very refreshing. Um, and we had a lot of moves in fantasy. You know, Smiling Ninja, she was pretty much right down at the bottom last week at Daytona with with teammate Stephen Llewellyn, and she made herself back up into the top 5 for last week. So um, and Tony Rochette, he's got himself up into the top 5 as well. And I guess maybe we shouldn't leave out Stephen Llewellyn because he was able to figure himself a top 10. And I know the rest of us, we were like, none of us really did all that well.
God awful. Yeah. I was like 46th or something like that on the list.
Yeah, it was terrible. I pulled out some big guys last week, just a couple, not too much. I didn't want to go too crazy, just trying to let things settle. But where did you guys stand? Did you guys bring out some heavy hitters and start get the season going right?
I think I had Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, Bubba, and Brad Keselowski. So I did real well with one, and then the rest just was bad.
I kind of set mine and forget because I work on Sundays. I have Denny, Hemrick, Blaney, Keselowski, William Byron.
Just as good as mine did.
Yeah, I mean, I was right in the same boat with you guys. I had both the Kyles, Keselowski, and Reddick, of course. But it is what it is. Once we get about I think 10 races in, we should be able to start seeing start being able to figure it out a little easier. But until then, you kind of like dancing on eggshells a little bit, trying to like, oh, what do I do? Who do I pick? But we got Vegas coming up. This is one of my favorite tracks to race, and to watch. I think we're going to see, a lot like what we did last week. Maybe the guys will be a little easier on the tires, knowing how easy they will flat on them. But I think we're still going to see a lot of spinning out, and I don't even know like how I'm gonna pick. Thank God there's practice. Oh man, thank God there's practice.
I think the thing we got to look forward to at Vegas is I'm interested to see if the setup, if these cars get a little bit lower for next week, because Vegas has the main one big bump in 1 and 2, and then it's really flat in 3 and 4. But 3 and 4 is always the trickier one because of how much speed you carry through it. I don't know how it's going to be really hard. I have a feeling there's going to be probably more spin outs in practice and stuff because they're just trying stuff. But the one thing that boggled my mind last week is watching them when they spun out in qualifying and in the race. Why were they so locked up? Like, once it was like a lot of these spins were by themselves, they kept them locked up even when they were going straight. I couldn't understand why they had done it.
That's generally their training. That's generally what they're supposed to do. with the previous car is lock it down and make the car as predictable to not get hit as possible. And then they figured out halfway through the race, actually, no, do your best to try to keep it rolling. You started seeing that towards the end. Guys would spin and they would do everything they could to just get it going back forward and keep the momentum up.
I know in our racing in this car, if you get loose and you're about to spin out, if you stab the brake, it'll straighten out.
There's a better technique than that too, so you don't have to slow down the momentum.
Gas in.
No, we just don't need to release it on the show. We don't need to give people our secrets.
And it's not as effective in an oval. You can really do that in a GT car, actually. And in that kind of race, it can definitely save your day. Where keeping the momentum up is not as big of a deal. Any time that Ferrari would try to let go, you just lock it up and it stops spinning. But you're going to give up some time for sure. All right, are we ready to hit some hardware?
All right, let's do it.
I'll pick up the first one. We have the Podium Button Module Rally, and there's not a whole lot of information about it all yet, but it's a pretty neat looking little wheel. My Porsche oval quasi oval rim is kind of worn out, so I might be in the market eventually for another round wheel. I like the smaller ones because I'm a smaller guy, but this one doesn't have paddles. That's about the only thing that makes me wonder about it, but I do like the button configuration on it.
I think, David, and I don't know, you guys could correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't think this is promoting the wheel. It's just promoting the centerpiece. The wheel is its own separate thing because this is a new thing that that you can add to any of your own existing wheels.
In fact, you're right. Now that I'm looking at it, there's 4 different wheels with the same centerpiece. Yeah.
I honestly think this is a really cool idea for Fanatec to do, just as an add-on to your favorite wheel combination.
Especially if you've got one of the NASCAR rims that doesn't have hardly any open wheels, because those button clusters, they don't really sit in a good location, do they?
No, I know Bobby turned me on to a site where you can buy the extenders for the hub to bring the buttons out to the wheel more, but I don't even know if this would work much on the NASCAR size rim because it's just too much in the center still. It might, but I don't know if you can actually get all your fingers to them. I think
it's a button cluster that you would just attach to like the center part of a wheel, basically, right?
Now, because we don't have any information on it, I'm wondering how it's powered or the information from it's getting. So is it probably like a USB plug in, like a button box?
And I can't see that information anywhere.
That's what I'm thinking it might be. Like I stumbled upon this just quickly, and I was trying to find any more information, but there isn't anything yet, so I don't know what to think of it. But I think it's a really good idea to add to whatever your favorite type of rim is, because you could, like this one that we have on our site here we're showing is on a Sparko rim.
Now, Fanatec emailed this out. I got an email with this. And then racedepartment.com, they did an article on their website about the email, basically. Now, there are some information in the email. It said, as real as it gets, designed in collaboration with the M Sport World Rally team, this podium button module rally is a feature-packed device built for use with the all-new 2022 Ford Puma Hybrid Rally 1 WRC car.
I just hope for this thing, because obviously there wasn't a price or anything you didn't see anywhere, or did you, Mike?
No pricing.
I hope
available later this year.
I hope Fanatec doesn't do their Fanatec license thing here where they've done it with a company and they jack the price up because they've associated it with something. I hope this is a reasonable module for someone to purchase.
Well, when the hub alone is $200, I don't know what you're expecting.
I'm just expecting them not to like do what they did with their any of their licensed stuff where it's attached to, like, obviously this isn't a brand name. It's kind of, it's, you know, the M Sport World Rally. It's got that on it. That's what I'm worried about is, are they going
Right.
to jack that price up because they have that?
Like they did the Audi wheel, which is 1,500, and
Yeah, they're just, this is such a good idea to add to your favorite rim. People would be really interested in this.
the other thing is, you know, are they going to announce it and we won't see it for a year, like the Bentley?
I don't think you're ever going to see that Bentley.
I probably would have bought that Bentley if they had put it out.
You know what? I bet you the day that your hub arrives, they put out the Bentley rim for sale.
In before he doesn't get the hub till next year. All right. Something that you might want to get this year, though, this button box. It looks pretty, Brian.
Yeah, this is from a company called 13 Speed. Yeah, they have custom or button boxes. The one we're showing is called their Gen Zero button boxes. It's their first run of 10 units, so there's 10 of them for sale. They call it their Gen Zero as a process to build these was very manual. The process, so you know, these are kind of built. It's not mass produced or anything like that, but they're really pretty solid looking button boxes. The one we have on the picture is the holographic edition. So the faceplate on it, where you might see a steel color or some kind of carbon look. This one has like a holographic look that like reflects like rainbow colors on it. It's pretty sweet looking. It's all push buttons. There's no dials or toggles, so it's all push buttons. But it's a solid looking unit. It runs $99. It's from the original price was $169, so it's like you're saying 40%. There's also a signature layout edition, which doesn't have that holographic, which does have more like that brushed steel look to it. And then there's a seeing red edition with all red buttons. So it's a pretty good looking box. Not too bad.
Not too bad for the price, yeah.
That's a good price. And there's a couple of toggles. You can see they basically have an ignition toggle. That's about it.
On the red one, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I got you.
But yeah, I wouldn't go for something like this because there's so much more functionality with rotors and toggle switches than just buttons. But yeah, for the price, it's pretty good.
It seems thick. It's hard to see from the picture, but it seems like it's pretty, deep.
It seems like this is a company that's just getting their feet off the ground. Like this is their first foray into the button box, because they have
Brian, you cut out after they have a.
So they have links for car painting and league races and stuff like that. So it sounds like this might be their first venture into like hardware type of stuff.
Yeah, check it out. 13speed.com.
Well, how about you hound us about this next one, Greg?
Stop hounding me. All right, so I was hoping you would set me up better than that, David, but okay. So simhound.com offers a bunch of different things on here. It offers you apparel, so you can get your nice racing gloves, shoes, simwear, but also they offer some sim rigs. And I was kind of looking this up because there was I kind of like the color choices of their Simhound chassis. I mean, the basic chassis starts at 527 without a seat bracket, and that is pretty basic. It's a decent profile for what you get. I kind of like it. I mean, at the $527 Canadian, my price isn't too bad.
I need to get those shoes right there. That's the perfect kind of shoe for me. Right on the home page.
Did you Yeah, I don't know. Before we get, I was going to show the shoes in a second here on it, David. But did you see the colors that you can get this rig in?
Yeah, I love the colors. I mean, Papaya Edition, which is like a blue and orange,
I
and
would
then,
say that's kind of like the McLaren version, right?
right, McLaren colors.
And it looks like they include their own seat adapter for your seats. You don't have to get one separately from Sparco.
There's also a custom color which you can select from a color chart.
They have the Maranello Edition, which is Ferrari red.
And they have the Subaru, they call it the Scooby edition, but it's the Subaru colors.
Blue and yellow, yeah.
So that'd be the World Rally Blue, which would be really nice. I like the apparel though, like David was saying. So they have simple gloves. Like they all look like they're the short-handed gloves. There's none of the long up the wrist ones. They're just the short ones, but they're really cool. And they have a lot of different color choices here for gloves with their logo too. It's kind of an interesting their hound logo with the steering wheel.
The shoes is how I found this. So I had a commercial in social media presented to me for these shoes, and when you go to the website, like David says, the first thing you see is the shoes. So I don't know if that's their primary product or maybe it's their new product, but what do you think of the shoe? It reminds me of like a water shoe that you go swimming in, something like.
It's all the material you would need and nothing extra type thing. It basically is just there. You have your nice, smooth bottom with grip to do it, and you don't really have any laces or anything to do up to, which is nice. They're kind of slip-ons.
Yeah, y'all been showing like Bobby's been showing his racing shoes that he's got, and I'm like, they look nice, but I don't want to have to lace up every time I hop in the sim rig, right?
Well, you hop in it so often, you might as well just wear them around the house.
Oh, no, well, I mean, my lifting shoes are slip on, right? So I just slip them on and off as I get in and out. Uh, yes, I know how to tie a shoe, but I just don't want to retie it every 2 hours.
You're not wrong, David. I hate tying my shoes and pulling the Velcro top part across each time. So if I'm just getting into practice, I don't even bother tying my shoes. But if I'm going to race, that's the only time I usually tie them up.
And one might ask, when do you need shoes? Well, I'll definitely tell you need them if you get hydraulics, because Bobby has experienced that now. He's got his sim coaches in now, and that brake, when I first got it and tried pushing it with just a sock, you could almost injure your feet. It requires so much pressure. It's pretty insane.
I think the nice thing too, Mike, I don't know if you noticed on this, it kind of looks like it's a very, I don't know what you would call it, like ergonomical. So it kind of, you're not going to be sweating much in it too. So that, there's no odors and stuff that you're creating too. Cause that's always a problem too. If you're not, it's got to be comfortable. It can't be hot.
Yeah, it's very lightweight, period, which also gives you a little bit more agility.
All right, pretty cool. Next up, BDH shifters are now available at Base Performance Simulators. So they've made an arrangement where they're selling this product out of that shop. Now, we've talked about the BDH shifter before, earlier in the year. This thing is like probably one of the best H-pattern shifters out there. Handmade from one piece of metal, machined down. It is beautiful. And it goes for $920 US or 687 pounds. But the BDH or excuse me, Base Performance Simulators, they're basically selling it for the guy who makes it. What is my understanding. He said there's a current batch of 100 units underway for shipping to commence in April. This will be followed by another 100 units. Lead times of 8 to 10 months are now over because of that. And if I was looking at H-pattern, I'd be looking at this for sure.
It is a very robust and very pretty shifter. I don't want to comment on a price point because you know what you're getting there. Like, but man, if you want something to like shoot at too, because this thing looks like it would be probably bulletproof.
It's eye candy. I mean, almost, right?
Oh yeah. No, it is a gorgeous shifter.
And it's like bomb proof, man. This thing is solid as you can get. And I remember the reviews. The one guy who did a video review was adjusting like the tension, and you can get it so tight. If you really want a real stiff shifter, you really bang it around hard. You know, you can dial this thing in to where you can barely move it. It's really well made.
Well, remember, we're trying to simulate race cars. Like David said, when you use sim coach pedals, I mean, you got to use, shoes because you're putting so much pressure on these pedals. With this type of hardware with the shifter, I mean, like Brian's saying, you could recreate, really stiff, H pattern box, out of one of these old race cars. How about another beautiful shifter, David?
Yeah, I was going to bring this up. I don't get the title, and I almost don't want to read it considering current events. But we've got a sequential shifter that's available, and the reason the first thing I did is went and looked at it, actually where it was actually shipping out of because of the title, and it's coming from Canada,
Quebec.
We can still get it, yeah. So it's a nice looking sequential shifter. They also offer handbrakes, and it's nice and presentable. I haven't actually looked too much deeply into it, but they call it, what do they call it? They just call it AOLogs or
AOLogs.
AOLogs. Yeah, they've got a shifter and a handbrake.
So
don't have a price yet.
So I have no problem with the title From Russia with Love because this shifter is from Russia. And I do love this shifter because I bought it. I own this shifter. And I love it. I couldn't recommend a better sequential shifter than the AOLogs.
Should we be even talking about it, considering it'll be disappearing off the market because it won't be able to be shipped to Canada anymore?
The point of this is they announced this just as the war started, just as Russia took on Ukraine. This was announced. So as far as I know, Advanced Sim Racing and the guy from Russia who makes this have come to this arrangement that the guys from Canada are selling it on his behalf, basically. And so will he be able to get product to them? Who knows?
Probably not.
How hard the embargoes become, right?
Right. Now,
that's
does Advanced Sim Racing have stock available? I mean, they're selling
Not right now. Right now it shows it's sold out.
Oh, it does? Okay.
Yeah.
I would gather it would not be making its way into the States, considering anything that has to do with Russia has been pretty much put on hold or banned from coming into Canada.
What a shame. I feel bad for this guy. I mean, I gave him my business. I'm sure he has nothing to do with what's happening with the war with Russia and Ukraine. And he makes a great product. And, I feel bad for him that he's not going to be able to market it. But, yeah, Advanced Sim Racing, it looks like they had some kind of arrangement. But like you said, it looks like it's out of stock.
And the Advanced Sim Racing people are, if anyone's watching our stream, they are the company that provided my rig that is behind me here.
Maybe you could reach out to them, Greg, and see what they know now.
I could email the guy. Yep, I could do that to find out the information.
Just curious.
I'll do that later.
They just announced it, and now they say no stock. So yeah,
we'll get back to you on that next week. We'll follow up on that one. The next one we have is something from the Race Depot or Department. Is it Depot or Department? It's abbreviated.
Racedepartment.com.
Okay. Brian, you got this one.
Yeah, it's racedepartment.com. So the British racing car manufacturer and iconic 60s Formula One champion Jack Brabham last week announced that they're teaming up with the Base Performance Simulators. They're going to be launching a limited edition Brabham Motorsports racing themed simulators, celebrating 3 defining eras in the history of Brabham name in Formula One. So this is first of all, it's a tubular frame cockpit with it's like a hardback seat that and I don't know if the monitor is included, but it's an ultra wide Samsung Odyssey type of monitor, really wide one, if that's the way it comes. But it's and I'm pretty sure it does because it's all painted in the same themed colors. It's a really decent looking rig, but it's got some awesome variations to it in their collection. They have the one that's red with the blue stripes on the monitor. They have the classic Lotus green color BT19 model. They have a BT52 model, which is more like of a navy blue and white. Three are really beautifully painted and designed. Um, you know, so the question is, I guess, which one would you get? They're all really pretty, solid with the tubular design. Always curious about how much adjustability something like this is, but it's a pretty system, and yeah, it does come with a 49-inch Samsung uh, uh, Odyssey gaming monitor. So yeah, it's a good system.
Now, are any of you guys familiar with Brabham's uh, past? Do you know what the significance of them are? Does anybody ever know the or ever heard of the fan car from F1? Where, where they put the big fan that spun on the back of the car to create downforce. He was sucking the air from underneath the car with a big fan off the back of the car. Anyways, but I believe the numbers correspond to car chassis that they had back in the day too, Brian, where they had like the BT46B is one of their chassis numbers for the race cars. But Brabham has a rich history in F1, and it's kind of cool that they've come up with these special ones.
It looks really sharp. I love the red on the seat, man. It's like a shiny red. The seat's almost like a plastic look to it, but doesn't look comfortable to sit in by any means. But boy, it is eye candy. The other thing about the tubular cockpit, it's got great lines, I guess is the way to say it. The design is quite unique. The way that the tubes are laid out, I don't even know how to describe it. Pretty cool. Yeah, on price, so.
Oh, looks like we have an acquisition in the iRacing world, or not iRacing, but sim racing equipment world, Greg.
Now, Mike, I don't know if you can help me out with the significance of this. So, Motion Simulations is buying the HPP simulation pedals IP. So they are buying. Are they buying the design, Mike? Is that what I'm led to believe?
Because Mark Hargett from California, who owns HPP, he's getting out of the business.
Okay, so he's sold his design so that they can use his product.
Basically, yes.
Which is kind of...
I've always liked for the longest time that had that really nice powder blue color.
It's like an anodized powder blue.
And I think I looked at these when I was pedal searching as well. And I think it all came down to availability.
Is it a hydraulic or is it a load cell?
The brake is hydraulic. The other two are load.
Yep.
It's such a compact brake pedal.
I've always been a fan of these pedals, and it's a great design. I believe he had an initial version that wasn't colored. This is like the V2, and of course it's a powder blue. But it's good that somebody picked this up. I hate to see great sim products come and go because the owner, moves on. How cool is it to have a company say, hey, this is a product that we need to continue for this community. There's value here. Let's pick it up.
Well, it's always good for a developer to know that they can come up with a good idea. And if they don't want to stay on the business side forever, they can sell that idea and have a nice nest egg, right?
Yeah, and we've seen that with a couple of products, like the Midwest Simulator stuff. We saw that with software with the Dan Lisa league scoring system. So these things have been transferred, and they must have some value where people are willing to pick these up. So that's cool that the designs are going forward even after the person who might have made the innovation is no longer in the business of doing this stuff.
Mike, do you know around what the price of these things were?
I want to say 1,200.
Okay, so they're reasonably priced.
That's on the slightly cheaper side for hydraulics, but it's only one hydraulic, so that's probably why. And I think you would have to get a base plate.
And there's no
separately with it
base
set
plate,
up.
yeah.
Well, Mike, is this next thing one of those you almost bought?
Well, this is one that got recommended to me during my search from one of our listeners, Oz. Thank you, Oz, for everything you've done the last couple of weeks trying to give me some ideas on which way to go, and I appreciate that. This wheel is called the Elemento S. It was actually the first time I've heard of it. It's from Italy. It's called the VPG Elemento S. It's got a 4.3-inch display and sells for 1,150 pounds or 1,540 US. There is a YouTube video, review, a complete review of this. They are selling it at a website, vpgsimlab.co.uk. And it's a nice looking wheel. I mean, now I pretty much have eliminated the need for a display on the wheel. I decided I didn't want a display. This one has it, so it didn't make the cut. But if you want a Formula wheel with a display, you got to look at this. It's not as flashy as like the Gomez and some of the others, but it looks very functional.
Yeah, it's a good design. And especially if you want the display, it's nice. It does have the analog paddles along with your shifting paddles. Got a lot of thumb options. And this one looks like it'd be particularly good specifically for Formula. But that price point, I wouldn't spend it.
Now, it's a wired USB wheel, and it's got a screw-on connector on the back. And it's even got a little track map of some track. I don't know which one it is right next to it, like engraved on the back of it. Pretty cool. And it looks like also, it says number 413, like maybe that's the 413th wheel or something, like they're numbered. I think why Oz liked this one is because of it's the full 300 millimeter wide. And so some of the wheels I've been looking at are 280, 290, 270 in that range. Oz was saying, "Oh, got to get the 300, man. Got to get the 300." And so this is one of those.
All right, next up, we're going to toss it over to Brian because he's our motion guy.
Yeah, this is actually not motion so much. It's a belt tensioner, but it's made by the PT Actuator Company, which does make the platform motion system type of units. So this was a review on the Sim Racing Garage with Barry Rowland, and he does his typical dissection of the whole unit. I can tell you his reviews were pretty good. The build quality, he said, was really high. He sets it up, and it's two individual tensioners that work left and right. He was very impressed with it. Thought it worked really well. It was a strong tension to it. It's all adjustable, and he was using the SRS Sim Racing Studio software is what you use to run this one. So that's a good software for any kind of motions type of stuff. But he was really happy with it. It looked really good when I was watching him in the sim driving it. And the one thing he mentioned, and this I can tell you is the same for like the G belt. It can be pretty loud, and it's right behind your head. So that loudness right behind your head can be kind of distracting. That's one of the reasons why I went from the off the ear headset from the HP Reverb to to over-the-ear headsets, because I can drown that sound out with over-the-ear headsets, and I couldn't do that with the off-the-ear stuff. So looks like a really good product, and it gives the Sim Racing Garage a thumbs up. So something worth looking into if you're gonna be getting a belt tensioning system there.
Just do what I do, Brian, and go to a 5.1 surround sound, and nobody can understand anything that's going on besides it. David loves me talking over the mic with my 5.1 surround sound.
Well, especially when I'm in the car and you're not, and you're watching from like TV view where you're hearing the cars drive by and all the vroom, vroom, and it's like NASCAR crank it up. And it's like causing my ears to bleed while I'm trying not to wreck the car.
This is a no-go for me because of the noise. I couldn't believe how loud this thing is. It's way too loud. I think they have a good product here if they can quiet it down. So the other thing about this,
obviously,
I want to use my own belts. I already bought belts. I don't want to use the crappy belts that come with them. Yeah, they look okay, but they're not of the.
I don't think you're ever going to get a system like that, Mike, because I just don't think they're always going to be sold with belts. I don't think you're going to ever be able to add anything to it unless it's like you connect it to the top and it's just the parts pulling on the belts you already have.
You're right, because as you see there on the screenshot of the video, they put rivets actually right through the middle of the belt as a stop, so it doesn't wind the belt down around the motor too far. And so that's, right, that alone, I wouldn't be able to use my belts because I'd have to put some kind of rivet through the middle of it if I were to. But yeah, you have to use their belts. You can't have your own. The other thing is Barry Rowland felt the need to design this very elaborate system with rollers. So the belts came out the back of the seat, straight out the back, around the roller, and then down to the motor that twisted them up the belts. His reason, he didn't want those belts pulling down on his shoulders when the motor thing was down below, and it would be pulling down on his shoulders. So it was kind of a neat setup that he set up with the rollers.
Did he complain about the sound, or was it just the sound from us listening to it? I haven't watched the full thing. Okay, so he did say, but was his rollers, could they have been causing the sound?
It was the motors.
Okay, yeah. I just was curious.
So that's a couple of good points, Mike. If you remember, the G belt can be mounted either directly behind the driver, like the driver's seat, and it pulls you back, which is better. Or you can have the G belt mounted to the rig at the bottom, which pulls you down, and that's not the ideal way to do it. And that's kind of the way that this one's set up, and that's what Barry did with his way of reconfiguring it. But I can tell you though that the G belt you can use your own belts with. You don't have to use. It doesn't come with belts, and you can use whatever ones you have, as long as they're long enough on the straps. And that's what I did. The ones I have on mine are separate belts that I bought first and then added to the G belt, and they work fine.
Oh, that's good to know.
All right, Mike. We have some breaking news, don't we? The decision has been made, and this video helped you make it.
Well, it was actually last week's video with Will Ford from Boosted Media. We talked about that last week, and I had watched the video before last week, and he had said that he liked the buttons better than the Asher wheel. He liked the buttons better on he said he liked the buttons better on the Asher wheel than the cube control. But later in the week, I went back to his video and checked the comments and see what people have said about it. And he was replying to people's questions. And one person commented, "Hey, Will Ford, if you had to pick between the new cube control and the new Asher wheel, which one would you pick?" And he said cube control. And so based on that pretty much cemented my decision. I have a lot of respect for Will and all the equipment that he has run through his shop, and for him to say that means a lot to me. So I've done my own research as well. I've watched every video out there, including this one from Squirrel is his name. He posted a video of this Cube Control F Pro formula wheel. And he described some of the features that led me to buy it, including wireless running. It has a magnetic USB cable that attaches magnetically. It doesn't screw on like some of these other wheels. And the cool thing about it is the wheel is Bluetooth as well. So you can unplug the USB and run it wirelessly. And so that's a key feature. It also has some software where you can program all the LED lighting to any colors you want. It doesn't have like profiles, and it's not too sophisticated where you could save, oh, I want a red one today and a blue one tomorrow. You have to go in and literally change the color of each one if you were to change it. But it has that option. And other than that, I mean, it's a carbon fiber, kind of a plastic on the handles, which this guy really liked over a Alcantara leather that can wear. He feels like this isn't going to wear as much, and I've heard that on other videos. But yeah, I got my tax return. I negotiated with the wife what else we have to buy. So David, you gave me a hard time about how much it costs, but you don't realize I had to buy other stuff just to buy this wheel. I had to buy a pergola, we had to buy a front door lock, and we had to buy new window shades for the house. And so that's what she demanded for me to be able to get my wheel, and she got what she got, and I got what I got. And yeah, I ordered this wheel yesterday, and I also ordered which it won't ship till mid-April, they say. And then I ordered the Fanatec Podium Hub to go with it. Now, surprisingly, when I went to order that, it's not shipping until May 17th. I told Greg we need a pool on. Maybe how long is Fanatec going to delay me?
I want to see. I want to see how. If you either get it like all of a sudden it comes available and you get it quicker, or is it something where it's like, yeah, we got the dates wrong. It's gonna be a little bit longer. We should have a pool with all our listeners.
Yeah, let us know if you think I'll get that on time, or am I going to be waiting 3 more months? Who knows? Somebody said, well, what are you doing? Let's find a different route. But I'm not in a hurry, guys. I've been racing for years without this. Okay. So I'm not in a hurry, and this is the cherry on top. I spent all this money on this rig. This is my cherry on top. It's going to look really nice. It's going to work really good. It's got some neat features. So I'm excited about it. I can wait for it. It's not a big deal. Now, could I get it sooner? That was one question that was posed in a Facebook group this week. One guy gave me a source in the Netherlands that had I think he said 8 of them for sale. I actually went there to buy it. They were charging $50 more than the Cube Controls was. I thought, well, maybe it'd be worth extra $50 to get it sooner. So I actually went through the checkout process and figured out they don't ship to the US. They only ship in Europe. So I wasn't able to get it from that source. So I went ahead and ordered on Cube Controls, and they clearly state, yeah, it won't ship till mid-April. Okay.
All right. I was going to say, are we ready for some results? Let's hit the results. We're at Cali, and we'll open up with the Friday Cali. Mike, you had a P7?
P7 finally got a finish, and this is the first one of the year. I called it Stop the Bleeding and finished on the lead lap for the first time this year. The race, the run was very respectable. I came up through the field multiple times. I was as high as second, and with just a few laps to go, I had gotten tight late in the race and faded a bit. But wow, after getting wrecked out at Daytona all week and earlier in the week at California, to finally get a finish, whew, I'm happy. Brian, P21.
Yeah, so I didn't qualify. I was car number 33 out of 34 cars. So, I was going to start next to last in the feature, and without qualifying, and I did. And I took it easy, um, stayed in the back, and sure enough, I still got hit on lap one. Got 9 minutes of required damage by a car that. I mean, I checked up so early. The wreck happened on the first lap on turn four, where everybody was getting loose. And checked up way in advance, but there was like two cars behind me. One of them slammed on their brakes, and when they did, they turned left into that car, and that car turned left into me. So it just goes to show you, it doesn't matter where you start, you can still get nailed no matter what. So I got the damage fixed. I went back out on the track. I think I was like 6 or 7 laps down by then, and just basically just rode it out, just to get some laps under me with this car at this track, because I still had some more races coming up, and just by getting that fixed and avoiding all the rest of the nonsense that happened, and wound up getting the P21. So, not great, but considering where I was before I even get back to the start finish line, it's not that bad.
All right, so Tony Rochette. Now he says I need to read this.
Oh no!
As if I'm singing the Prince of Bel Air theme song.
Am I going to have to edit him out again?
Now this is a story all about how the chubby bird got flipped, turned all around. And I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there. I'll tell you how I became black flagged, requiring repaired. I didn't do very well. Now, I thought this sounded like the Beverly Hillbillies theme song. Now, this is a story all about how the chubby bird got flipped, turned all around. And I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there. I'll tell you how I became black flagged, required repaired.
You can edit that right there.
That was good.
That didn't even happen. I'll sing them all in later. Get it all professionally produced and stuff.
Okay, so David, you got P torpedoed.
Man, yeah, I posted a video on my little YouTube channel with 4 torpedoes in a row. It was crazy. There was no safe place on the track, front, back, wherever. They'd bounce off the inside wall, and I'd be all the way up, just praying I get by him, and death. Just boom. Also ran into an issue with this one that I got the damage fixed, was 1 lap down, and rushed out trying to catch up with the field, thinking I can go ahead. I'm the last car, so I'll go ahead and pull up and not worry about the end of line penalty, because there's not going to be anybody behind me. I pull out. I'm doing just fine. It says, get ready. And then a little bit later, there's nobody behind me on my relative, and it starts telling me to let people by. I mean, they're already about to take the green flag, and there's cars that are all the way still in turn 2. And it slaps me with a stop and go. Really, this is gonna end up being a new soapbox. They need to do something where cars that come out of the pits right in front of the pace car don't get to line up in front of other cars.
Or if you're getting the wave around and you're trying to get back to the pack before they go green, and a guy pulls off pit road, and you have to wait behind that guy.
Yeah, both of those situations, they need to try to incorporate some way for the AI to know. Probably need to let these guys just line up how they line up when they come out that late, because that's what they do in real life. If somebody comes out of the pits, they don't tell them to get up in front of the penalty cars. They don't. They have to line up in the back.
All right, so Adam Jocelyn wrecked out by himself while leading the race. He spun out. Greg, P1, congratulations.
Winner. Yeah, it was I don't that race was interesting. That was the only race I did last week. One and done at Cali. But I was glad to be in it. just played out the way I liked it. I was fast, but it came down to the end where I took 2 tires, beat everybody off pit road with a green-white checkered that had 4, and the 2 tires were better than the 4. I held them off, and I won. Probably celebrating with my first ever TikTok that I made with the win too.
Yeah, nice video. Wow, I mean, the old car, if we took 2 tires, you were toast. And it seems like this car, every time we've tried it, it works.
I'll go ahead and jump since we're talking about the 2-tire stop. I don't usually mention A opens, but I got to run an A open with Parker Klinkerman one of the other nights this week at Vegas. And I kind of had a similar situation where I went ahead and took 2 tires when we had a green-white checker coming up, but everybody was going into pits just to see how it would work, right? And yeah, it worked pretty well. I was just as fast as all the guys that took 4 and had much better track position.
I think that's a little bit more realistic because 2 tires in NASCAR racing, guys don't typically fall way off the pace like you would in iRacing. I think that's a little bit better, a little bit closer to realistic, and it makes the racing more interested because you're not always getting 4 tires because it's always so much better than 2.
Okay. Stephen Llewellyn, P1. He wins as well. Congratulations, Stephen. He's hot right now. And he had a different set than everybody else was running. He was running something different, and yeah, he still won the race. Our set was a rocket ship. All right, Sunday Open, Tony Rochette, P2. Unlike the Hollywood hit twins with Danny DeVito, played by David Hall and I, as Arnold. Car was fast, but not fast enough for the leader. Had a blast with a 3-way for sloppy second in the final 30 laps.
Good Lord.
Sloppy seconds? Okay. David P. torpedoed.
Yeah, nowhere was safe at Cali. I couldn't stay away from the wrecks, especially in the NIS.
We needed to post David's video here that he made of his montage of torpedo.
I need a video too because Sunday fixed, I got torpedoed. Wrecked out. I couldn't miss it. There was no missing it. And yeah, so my streak of being wrecked continues except for that one finish on Friday night. Moving on to Vegas. Wednesday Open, David, P7.
Yeah, finally had a turn of good luck. I did get caught in an accident again in this one early. It was about 26 seconds of optional. I was running mid-pack, and I was the lowest car in the split, but it wasn't top split. It was everybody from like 4,200 to 3,800. A lot of really good drivers. Running mid-pack, got caught up in the little accident. I actually didn't hit the main cars, but I had to run another guy into the wall to avoid the accident. And that was affecting my long run speed a little. It definitely made the car a little tighter. I tightened it up on the next chance to tighten it up. I don't remember if it was a green flag stop or not, but I think it was a caution, and that helped a little. I had on that one, I was good for about 20 laps, and it still started to fade with the damage. But we had a caution at the end with the green white checkered, and on that one, with the adjustment that I made, I felt pretty confident with it. Started in 13th, and in a weird change of how I can race, I made up 6 positions on cold tires and went from 13th to 7th. Some of it was other people getting into it, and some of it with each other, and some of it was just that a lot of the guys were running the high line, and I could definitely get down right on the line and run low.
All right. I got wrecked out. Car was a rocket ship, always moving forward as high as P2. And Tom Dreiling told me I was purple, which means I was the fastest lap of the race. I actually got wrecked running 6th. The guy in front of me checked when the guy in front of him who started spinning out. I got off the gas completely, but it wasn't enough, and I plowed right in. Car totally destroyed on lap 37. Tyler Williamson, P7. Solid race. Car felt good. Gently brushed the wall in the tri-oval entering turn 1. Really lost some speed and handling mid-race. Happy to see Tom win, as I was the last car he lapped before taking the checker. Great set by the guys. So Tyler and I and Tom Dreiling were all in the same set, same split, excuse me. And Tom Dreiling wins. P1, he says, Viva Las Vegas. Car was fast. I was not planning on running, but was able to get home out of work early. Used the first half of the race to learn the car at Vegas. Was able to take the lead right before green flag stops. Came out of the pit second. Was able to run down the leader with 25 to go. Was able to run my laps and take down my first next gen and Vegas win at my home track, closest to Colorado. Happy to take my first NIS win down so early in the season to keep my streak alive for another year. Happy for the team. We're now 3 weeks into the NIS season, and we picked up a win as a team each week. Great job, boys. We have been killing it, guys. Thursday Open this morning, I got wrecked again. Lap 12. I had 6 minutes optional. I continued on in the race. Tried to keep on the lead lap. I get the lucky dog a couple times. Car didn't blow up, and even though I didn't fix the damage, I think I knocked off 3 minutes of the 6 eventually, but ended up P17 after all the attrition. And that knocked my I rating up below 2,000, I think, guys. I mean, I've been getting killed this season.
Down.
I'm headed to bottom split, I guess. Let's talk Fast Track League. Cali, David, P11.
Yeah, I might have been able to be a little bit further up, but somewhere mid-race, I just nicked the wall enough to hurt some of my long-run speed. Was in a really good battle with a couple ideas. Other guys going back and forth for 9th and 10th, but they green flag pitted later than me too, so their tires are just a little bit fresher. So I couldn't get by them there towards the end. But at this point, I was relieved just to finish without being torpedoed, because we're not really going in chronological order.
We had bets.
Yeah. We actually had a running betting pool for the whole league. Who would torpedo me? You know, we were picking numbers, and I win all the money because I didn't get torpedoed.
Bobby Jonas ran with us. He got throughput fell to an unacceptable level and lost connection, unfortunately. Greg, P4, and that's really not the story. The story was, man, you were right on the leader, on the white. I was watching too, and you hit the wall.
Well, you were watching because we had just passed you, because I remember you on the radio. Do you want me high or low here? Because you saw that I was second trying to get by him. And I think coming out of 4 with the white flag, I just misjudged the on throttle point where I was in the center of the corner and I got back to the throttle. I think being so close behind him, it just washed out further than I've ever have, and I scraped the wall, and the 2 guys that were drafting with us got by me and I just couldn't get past them. But the thing that helped me here, I think I came from 26th all the way up to where I was in the long green red flag run we had, because I pitted under the 1 caution and I went and got tires and fuel when everybody didn't. So then when we had the long, I don't know, was it 40, 50? No, it was probably like 60 laps. But we had a green flag. We're stopping there. I was able to get tires with everybody on the green flag stop, but I didn't have to take as much fuel either. So my stop was a little bit shorter, so I came out in front of a couple guys that I was battling, and one of the guys I was with, I drafted with him, and we I think we gained 5 seconds on the lead guys because we stayed together and just drafted to catch the top 3, and it ended up being a 5-car battle in the end, 4 or 5 car battle, and it was fun to do that. But without the teamwork of working with one of the other guys drafting up to him, it would have been like a battle for like 4th anyways. So it was good to be in the hunt. I think I've been in a hunt in every race that I've participated in this car in this season, so I'm pretty excited to keep doing it. I really like this car.
Yeah, great run. I ran P26. And I was running with you and David at the time. I got tagged by someone. He was on my inside. I think he lost it or something, and I saved him. Like, he came up into me, and anyway, it's slid my car sideways a lot, and then I couldn't drive it after that for many laps. I mean, I literally couldn't drive it. Like, I don't know if the left rear got superheated, but after that little spin or almost spin, I kept getting this really loose, and I would lose it, and I'd have to stab the brakes to stop from spinning out, and it kept happening over and over. And I never really caught a caution to really get it sorted out. Later in the race, I was okay, but it really put me back. It was the weirdest feeling I've ever had. Like, I couldn't drive the car. Now, Adam Jocelyn, he wrecked out as well. Now, Adam, he did run the Fast Track League Truck Series they run on Wednesday. He won that last night, and he won it at Daytona. So congratulations to Adam. Let's talk hosted. I ran over the weekend with Chris McGuire and his guys. Supercars at Michigan. What a blast. And then the light Volkswagen Bug at the Figure 8 Irwindale with the jump. I ended up P5, and that was a blast. First time I've actually run that car. I've run the Bug, of course, but I've never run the light Bug. But it was fun. And then after that, we ran the 87s at Talladega. I also ran Thursday night, Man Cave After Dark, Truck League, and it was North Wilkesboro, and it was a fun race. I ran fairly well, back half of the top 10, basically. And then Saturday, the Sim 500 Esports Racing League 87 car. Greg, you got P13.
Yeah, I think you probably feel the same way I do about that one. It's hurting for participation, and the lack of racing cautions is kind of like, I don't normally complain about a league that doesn't have cautions and stuff like that, but I feel like the lack of participation in it, you just run the whole race and one mistake and that's it, you're done.
Yeah, I got a P12. You got 13th. It was one early caution, but it was green after that. We pitted it halfway. It was kind of a boring race, like Greg said. We need some more people to come join us. So, hey, if you're looking for something to do late on a Saturday night, come run this with us. We need about 20 more guys to make this fun. Chris was going to run with us, but he wasn't able to start. He was having technical difficulties, I think.
Hey, Mike, you didn't mention where that race was. I'm curious.
Homestead.
Okay, thank you.
I think it'll be more participation this week because I believe it's Talladega on Saturday.
Okay. Then we got the OBRL Aftermath Truck Series. Josh Robinson wins at Vegas. Tom Ogle third. Second, Ralph Vandervorst third. OBRL Cup, Brian DQ'd.
Yeah, I got too many incident points. We were at California, just like everything else, and it was not good. A lot of wrecks.
No.
the
No,
first-
no, no, no. Come on.
Hey, I even put this in my notes that this car is even giving the OBRL guys trouble. You know, it's a league that prides itself on clean racing and not a whole lot of yellows, and we were dropping yellows quite a bit. I was in like a super pack for the first 15 laps where it was just a hornet's nest. People all over the place, fighting for positions. Nobody could really pull away from each other. And it was just a matter of time before something bad one happened. Um, and I got some incident points from that, but the wreck happened in front of me. And then I got another incident point for going off track, avoiding a wreck. A wreck happened well in front of me, but I went onto the grass to get around it. But I got another incident point, so that's 5 right there. And then the incident limit's 9. And then what happened was a little later in the race, I was there was a car on my inside coming out of turn 2 down the backstretch. He didn't know I was there, and he just ran into me and just shoved me into the wall, flipped me upside down, and that was the end of my race. So the Cup Series has not been good for me right now. Two terrible finishes. Daytona got wrecked out on a green white checker and got DQ'd on this one. Not a good start to this series. This is a series where I was up in the air if I wanted to run it because Sunday mornings can be kind of tricky. But I really wanted to get in a series like this that runs the whole schedule. But I'd be honest if I wasn't a little discouraged at this point and wondering if these results are worth the sacrifice it takes for me to run this series, you know?
All right, let's talk the Get Her Done racing. You put damage Pelosa continues.
Yeah, more damage coming. We so this was interesting. It's a fixed setup series, but unlike OBRL, this one runs the iRacing open setup. So it's the iRacing setup that's fixed, but it's supposed to be the top, like top split type of setup. But man, it was so loose in turn 4, and it was weird. Turn 1 and turn 2, I was fine. I could run any line, top, bottom, and no problem. But in the turn 3 and 4, if I wasn't against the wall, I was like on the verge of spinning out at any moment, especially running the bottom. And it was like I had to turn the car in 3 and 4 with the pedals because if I put in any steering input, it'd want to whip right around on you. So it was so slow on the bottom for me anyway. It was just ridiculous. But gotten some more wrecks in front of me and got a little more damage. I was able to salvage a little bit better finish in this league, P11. But man, I'm glad to get out of California.
All right. Well, let's get into final thoughts. Brian McCubbin. What did we forget?
I ran the Get Her Done GT3 series on Thursday nights, which I'm going to be going to in a minute here. I finished last week P2. I got like a lap in of testing before the race or qualifying started last week because of how the show ended, and then I think I started 12th and just did my normal thing in the GT race and was able to just take it easy, and guys were spinning out, and got my way up to the top 3, top 5 area, got into the pit stop, and then by the time it was coming down to the end, I was battling for first place. I was catching the guy in the lead, and the guy in third missed the corner and punted me and put me in the barrier, but I was able to get it going, and I was third. I thought I was going to finish third. I know there's a review process afterwards in case something goes on, but it ended up that guy had so many incident points, he had to get a drive-through penalty anyways, so I got bumped back up to P2, but I was hoping I could get a win there, but it was a good week of driving for me last week.
What track was that one at?
Daytona Road.
Okay, I'm predicting right now that Greg is going to be the Dwayne MacArthur of this series.
Well, I'm at Sebring this week, so I got the qualifying starts about 15 minutes. So by the time we get through our final thoughts, I'll have 2 minutes to get ready for qualifying, and we'll see what we can do. Just learn. It's an hour-long race. If you keep it straight and go, you pretty much will get a good finish. I always usually get faster as the race goes on if I don't wreck it early, right, David?
That's yeah, usually, especially if you haven't practiced it. You're practicing for the first half of the race.
All right, now let's do final thoughts. Brian McCubbin.
Yeah, so I just want to go over this new car a little bit. It's been a while since we've had a cup car that is this difficult to drive as far as being loose and wanting to spin out on you and stuff like that. So I don't think a lot of drivers are used to having a car that is this difficult to drive. So, I just want to let everybody know just to be patient with these cars. Really work on them, getting around the corners, Um, do a little extra practice if you can. It's going to make the racing a lot better for everybody. If we're not having all these yellows because of cars spinning out. So get that extra practice in on this car. Learn it. Try to figure out when your car is going to come around on you so you can correct. So just let's see what we can do to make these races better for everybody.
Very good advice. All right, David Hall, final thought.
I'm definitely loving the new package, even though it's challenged and definitely struggling. And also going on the Into the Apex podcast. I actually record that one tomorrow night, and I might end up not being on TeamSpeak because they start recording it 1 hour before the show. And what I might do is end up just doing a live start to the race while we're still on the show.
All right, sounds like fun.
Hey, real quick, just want to just to reemphasize my points. It's not that I don't like this car being loose like this. I think it's a lot more challenging. It's more rewarding when you're able to drive it well. It's just that I think more people need to get used to it and get more practice at it. That's all.
Definitely. And a lot of people have been fussing in the races about, oh, you guys, how do you get this iRating, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just trying to remind them, guys, everybody's having to unlearn last year's car. All right. Because it's not just that it was easier to drive, but you had to almost kind of overdrive it in a certain kind of way to keep the momentum up. And you can't do that now.
You certainly do that now. Okay, Greg Hectus, final thoughts.
I think to add to David's point there too, if anyone's making that comment about where did you get that iRating from, there's other series than many of the series that we drive in. Like, I think Adam from our team got most of his iRating in the off season from running the super late models. Like, you can go and run somewhere else and come into another. You have no idea where this person's raced before. So don't, iRating and safety rating don't really dictate everything that it always is. It just is a number, and sometimes that number doesn't tell the whole truth. But I'm just looking forward to running Vegas tomorrow night, and I'll see how I'm going to do here in about 15 minutes doing the Get Her Done GT3 series. But great works with all the teamwork we've had this couple weeks here to start the season with NIS, with testing sets out and just knowing or just getting some track time for other guys that don't have all the time to get track times. I appreciate the guys that do some practice so that we can just hear some feedback on it, because it's definitely helped.
Yeah, we're doing good as a team, working together. We're gelling. We're getting wins every week. Every capable of winning. So that's it.
We're what, 3 for 3 so far? 1 each week.
I'm looking at you, Brian. You're up next. All right, my final thought is, wow, I can't believe Cube Control's wheel. I first saw this wheel, Lando Norris running it on Twitch. And ever since I saw that wheel with Lando, I was intrigued. Wow, it looks cool. It's got all those bright lights on it. Must be good if Lando's using it, And now we're on the V2 version of that wheel. They've upgraded it. They've refined it. And I picked it. Was it 300 millimeters like Oz wanted me to get? No, it's 280. But it's such a hard decision when you're buying high-end sim equipment. There's so many good products out there. There's so many different things to pick from. I would have been perfectly happy with any of those other wheels, I'm sure. I don't think I'm going to second guess this one, though. I think I made the right choice, and I guess we'll find out. With that, hey, we'll see you on the track later.